To get us some perspective on the opinion polls and more, Jonah Blank is joining us live from Washington, D.C. He was the foreign policy advisor to President Joe Biden and has advised Biden for 9 long years on the Senate Foreign Relations Committee. Mr. Blank, thank you so much for joining us here on WION again.
Thank you for having me.
Let me start by asking you, in case there was another debate, who would have it benefited, Trump or Harris?
Well, I think on the basis of what we saw on Tuesday, it would be almost certain to benefit Harris. Even Trump's own supporters, even his closest advisors, admit that Harris just cleaned the floor with them. Or it might be accurate to say he cleaned the floor with himself. He showed who he is, and it's not something the American people like. So I think Trump is quite wise not to want another debacle like he had on Tuesday.
Mr. Blank, your assessment goes to show why Donald Trump doesn't want a second round with Kamala Harris. Also, Mr. Blank, there was so much talk about the debate and how pivotal it's going to be for the U.S. elections, especially for the undecided voters. But as numbers show, it didn't really move the needle when it comes to undecided voters. So now that we're not going to see a debate and both the nominees have hit the home run by, visiting now the battleground states, and with less than 50 days to go, where does that leave the undecided voters?
Yes, Harris clearly won the debate, but it's unclear whether it will really matter. The only debate that has really mattered in American politics recently was, of course, the one between Joe Biden and Donald Trump. And that was very much the outlier. Typically, debates do not win elections. So will there be another debate? Well, Donald Trump has in the past said he wouldn't debate, he would debate, he wouldn't debate, he would debate. I think he won't, but I also think it doesn't really matter. This is going to be an enormously close election right down to the wire. Harris is up in some polls, down in others. It doesn't really matter because this is going to be a margin of error election no matter how it turns out.
All right, Mr. Blank, I'm going to ask you a very controversial question, rather, might seem weird as well. We are hearing a lot of conspiracy theories coming in from the US about the debate. One being Harris's earring was actually a wireless earphone. We're also hearing that Harris was handed the questions beforehand by the ABC moderators, which then makes the debate rigged. And the third one being a Trump supporter has just accused Harris and moderators of witchcraft. What are you making of these comments?
Sorry, not hearing any sound.
Right. Mr. Blank, can you hear me now?
I can. Thank you.
All right, great. I'll just quickly repeat my question. I'm asking about the conspiracy theories that we're hearing post the debate. One, of course, being Harris's earring was actually a wireless earphone. We're also hearing one Trump supporter just accused Harris and the ABC moderators that they are doing witchcraft, and then that the debate was rigged because the questions were handed over to Kamala Harris before the debate. What are you making of these comments?
They're absurd. I hadn't even heard several of these. The questions were as obvious as they could possibly have been. You know, are you better off than you were 4 years ago? Things very, very simple. And the idea that there was any kind of shenanigans is just Trump camp trying to excuse the fact that he had a terrible performance. But let's take a step back for a minute. Trump said a lot of really crazy things about immigrants eating cats and all sorts of things like that. It's easy to laugh at them because they're laughable. But as your report accurately showed, these weird conspiracies have real harm for real people. There are about 20,000 recent legal immigrants in Springfield, and they've come under terrible discrimination and often physical intimidation on the basis of these wild, crazy, and wrong ideas that Trump has been putting out.
Right. Mr. Blank, before I let you go very quickly, don't you think it's fair for Donald Trump or even an average American voter to ask Kamala Harris that you were sitting in the White House for 4 long years, why haven't you brought the changes that you're talking about now?
Sure, that's a totally fair question. She got a number of tough, fair questions, and the American people does deserve to hear from her, and they did.
All right, Mr. Blank, thank you so much for joining us here on WION.
Thank you.
For all the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.